Justin, my friend, he was nervous at first. Then he found out we were going to do the documentary on me because, you know, he works in the film industry. And I'm like, no, Ben's really cool, good, deep, good guy. And Justin's like, fuck that. He's a director. All directors want is a good story. All he wants to see is you flipping out on camera. He wants the blood and guts of your life falling apart. Don't kid yourself into thinking this person is trying to help you or do something for you. This is a person who thinks this is a good story, and that's why he's doing it.
In the summer of 2000, I set out to make a film about street basketball at the Cage in New York's Greenwich Village. It was a legendary court that I grew up watching from the outside. And as a white kid, there seemed to be no way in. But every day, I brought my camera and listened to their stories.
To the NBA.
The high I would get from fucking like 100 people screaming or some shit, 200 people screaming would be like, oh my God.
I started to become a regular in my own right. That's where I met Sam. He had played Division I basketball at Long Beach State and had been playing at the Cage for years while getting a master's in economics at New York University. He seemed like a unique character, so I interviewed him.
What have they been calling you lately?
Lately it's been Clark Kent, but maybe, you know, maybe I bear a resemblance, you know, maybe, you know, any sort of nickname a white guy gets has to be some sort of white print, but Clark Kent's cool too, you know, I busted off this shirt from out there, but they don't call me Superman, so I don't know.
Sam and I clicked right away. What was also interesting was that he had these amazing photographs. I asked Sam if I could use these photos in the film. He said sure. Now I had another element to add to the film and a partner, since he had just quit his finance job the very day I met him. Besides letting me use his photos, Sam also wanted to dive into doing interviews. I wasn't sure at first, but to prove he could handle this, Sam showed me his broadcaster reel.
Welcome to Sports Beat. I'm Sam Murchison, St. John's in Yukon today at the Garden.
On nights and weekends for the last few years, Sam had been sneaking into sporting events and shooting interviews with the hopes of getting a job as a TV sports commentator.
Can you talk about how you try to develop the person as well as the athlete at Georgia?
Sam looked comfortable in front of the camera and insisted he'd be comfortable behind the camera as well. So he started bringing his own video camera, and every few days would give me all of the footage he shot. We started spending time away from the court too. Sam was just an enthusiastic and creative guy. We'd hang out, and that would usually lead to late nights on his roof, thinking about the possibilities for the film. He had big ideas. Sam wanted to use the project as a way to talk about race and class in America.
It shows how difficult it is.
And with that, Sam had this fascination with progressive Senator Bill Bradley, who had been an NBA All-Star with the New York Knicks. Somehow, Sam wanted to use the film to promote a ticket of Bill Bradley and Colin Powell for the upcoming 2000 presidential election.
And it didn't turn out.
Senator Bradley had conceded the nomination to Al Gore 3 months earlier. But I pushed aside Sam's political ideas and tried to stay focused just on the street basketball stories.
I got it. I said, oh shit, speedy up into
We were up late, talking, looking at footage, shooting all day, getting to know people, going out to Coney Island, going out to Brooklyn, going up to the Bronx, and spending time at the Cage.
All the hoops I done made, schools I done trained. Time to lock it up, put it down and get paid. I score before the horse coming straight to yours. Vanessa Williams traded them, Katara wanted it raw. I despise the eyes open, travel further for flaws. Lay down what I put down for the worth and the cause. Players asking 95 what happened, try to just pause. Chill out, take a seat, I'm about to lay down the laws. Line them up, class in session, quiet, this is how we do it. Pimp them, make them, play them like we knew it. Watch me drop your loot, what's up, you can't come to it. Be like Mike, model at night, crackhead, you just do it. On drop day was hell, didn't get no cell bell. Second floor, range 2L, in jail, cell 12. A week ago, Iverson parties pockets felt well. Big Shane handled clout and my clientele. Now all my flows flock, cause I got it on lock. Down with Real Bleak and Pete and all my cats from rock. As the clock goes tick-tock, be the paper I clock. And all that loot from the block, put that paper in stock.
That's why he's a big show, baby. And Message. Ben, what's up, man? I'm having... this is Sam. I'm in a...
And then Sam's phone calls began. 8 times, 10 times, 20 times a day. 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 6 in the morning. When was he sleeping? I needed to get away from him. And then he started insisting that we should make the documentary about him. But I wanted to make a film about street basketball, not about Sam. He started telling his story anyway.
I used to work at a big money manager, but then I just quit 3 weeks ago, and all I've been doing is working on this documentary. And it's all I'm gonna work on in August and September, but this could be a nice little break, because I've been working so, even just for 3 weeks, I've been sleeping like 3 hours a night, going crazy.
Sam started speaking to me through the camera, knowing I was watching all the footage at night.
Ben, did you say you knew the Hoops Nation people? But there's this guy there's a guy who does it. He's not really involved, it's like old web pages. But if we could get a hold of him, he'd probably be down to like talk on the phone. That's the God, man. That's the God. West Forth is the God.
Sam began documenting his every move. His footage really started to alarm me. Sam went to a computer lab at NYU, trying to get graphic design help from some students he didn't even know.
I'm gonna be like this for the whole next 20 minutes.
You need to explain us what you want. Jeff has no idea what you want him to do.
Yeah, he does. Okay. It'll be all, you'll see, watch. I can't explain to you, I wouldn't explain it. Right now, I'm burning on fumes here. I did that when I was
basically, you don't have to persuade him. I mean, he just doesn't know what you want.
Yeah, but I'm gonna leave and you're gonna see what I want.
But you have to bring back something.
I gotta go get my disc.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be back here in 10 minutes. I'm just leaving you guys with like, $1,000.
Okay. I'm gonna put your stuff away there. Oh, he's filming his stuff. Oh my God. He is filming us. So don't sign the release form. Oh my God.
That's crazy. That's creepy. That is so creepy.
I tried to rein Sam in after he sent an email to hundreds of people that contained false information about me and the guys at the cage. I was afraid he was destroying my film.
Yo, he can go. Look at that, yo, that shit about White Cliff, you rolled that fucking secret to us to read, did that shit about that.
Hey, don't touch it. Don't touch it.
How can we make this film better?
Having lost my character's trust, the street basketball film was over. I had to step away. I got a call from one of Sam's friends. Sam had fallen apart. Eventually, they got him admitted to a psychiatric facility. There, he was diagnosed with manic depressive illness, also known as bipolar disorder. And I lost contact with Sam.
My field of interest is mood disorders, particularly bipolar illness. And I've had a very, very long-standing interest in writing about it and thinking about it and treating and studying these illnesses, depression and bipolar illness, particularly influenced by the fact that I have bipolar illness and it runs throughout my family. Bipolar illness really is a very broad continuum of disorders, ranging on the one hand from what has been classically described as manic depressive illness or bipolar 1, where people have severe manias, often psychotic, to very, very severe, often suicidal depressions. And then there's a category called bipolar 2, where people have major depressions, but their manias are not nearly so severe. About 1 person in 100 suffers from the severe form of bipolar illness, and another 2 to 3% from the milder forms of bipolar illness. So that's 3, 4, 5% of the population, equally distributed between men and women. It's equally likely in Hispanics, in African Americans, in Caucasians. It doesn't discriminate in that sense. So you're talking about a huge percentage of any country suffering from a significant mood disorder at some time in their lives. It's in the interest of everyone to have some basic education about these illnesses, because they are very common. And it is not like a rare disease. These are very common illnesses.
I hadn't seen Sam since he had gone into the hospital in August. And when I did, he was still clinging to the delusion that he could change the outcome of the Democratic primary for the 2000 presidential election.
What do we do now? I mean, what are you going to do now about, like, I feel like you think it's like scaring people about, you know, the rally stuff, and like it's still inside, you still believe it.
Yeah.
How much more can you, I mean, is it good to hold it in?
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, because right now I got to make sure that I'm on an even keel for a few months. I'm still pretty fresh from, it's, you know, we're in the end of September now, and I was like end of August when it all happens. I have to reassess. Like, I felt so strongly about it, and I still do when I really start to think about it. But it was frustrating to, even my closest friends wouldn't even listen to my idea of trying, just really laying, I was ready to lay myself out there. I was ready to let all of America call me crazy and get all this media attention. And the reason I pulled back is because it was making people around me scared. Like, even I scared you and everybody, like, I know who was close to me, but I didn't feel afraid of it. I felt like this, America needs this right now. And I'm like, I don't know why, you know, I'm the person that's supposed to be out. Like, I felt like chosen to go out there and get America back on track. And people kept calling me crazy or whatever, but I just think that what was your original question?
I was gonna talk. It's been a rough summer, and didn't know my direction, and now this one time when I feel like I finally find some direction, to have it all kind of like blow up in my face, it's kind of disappointing. I don't feel that same the way I did, and like when I was in my manic state, I felt great, because I felt like I was just laser focused, man. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I felt like it was the most important thing going on. I went 3 weeks without sleeping at all, like, except for like a couple nights, like 4 hours. Then, you know, I lost it, and I went into my old work, and I started screaming, not screaming and yelling, but like talking to people, really just like focused. But I'm focused on this Bill Bradley for president thing, so people are looking at me like fucking out of my mind. You're gonna elect Bill Bradley president? Yeah, right. And I'm like, yeah, and Colin Powell's gonna be his vice president. But I mean, so anyway, I thought that Sam Murchison could change America.
Sam decided to move back home to California.
Out of the city. The city is, the walls are closing in, man.
You feel like you're leaving under okay terms with it?
Yeah, it's like weird, you know, you came to New York, and then I went to school, and then afterwards, like, you feel like you want to leave New York and feel like you conquered New York, you know. I feel like I battled it to a draw. I've been here so long that it's going to be enough of a change just to go out there that, and then I just want to, like, keep an open mind about it.
The original basketball film had slipped out of my hands. What had grabbed hold of Sam? This affliction had taken someone with everything in the world and dumped him on his head. Despite my earlier objections, now I was going to try and make a film about Sam.
Looking back at what happened to Sam was that when he had his first experience with mania was associated with some other stressful events in his life. You know, he had quit his job and was looking for another avocation, and he was turning 30, and maybe whatever that means, some kind of pressure about that. New York, all of a sudden, was too stressful. He couldn't pull things together. And certainly when I went out there to try to get him to come home, it was practically the same moment that he entered the hospital. His hospitalization was very difficult in New York, and I'm a pretty capable person, and I found it daunting. I experienced a feeling about Sam's state of mind. It was an all too familiar feeling of, it was fear. It was definitely fear. And it was familiarity. And it was an old fear. So I was having to sort of go back into my memory about it. But it certainly triggered it instantly the minute I felt it. And I certainly wanted to deny that it was happening to him, but it was too familiar, it was too exact, that perhaps he was in some kind of phase of mania, that maybe he had this same thing that his dad had, and his dad was manic depressive. In the back of my mind, and I am sure in the back of my children's mind, was if they made it through their early 20s without experiencing similar symptoms, then I felt like they could feel confident that they had not been subject to the same genetic influence. I had no sense that it was something that could happen later, and for Sam to be 29 and then turn 30 that summer and begin to have symptoms of manic depression was unacceptable to me. I couldn't believe it. I just was wishing against all the logical cues I was getting that everything was going to be okay. But I think I knew deep down that something was very wrong with the situation, and that there was something about to unfold.
I feel so calm and even keel and just grounded. I've changed, like, in the last couple of years, but in the last 2 days, like, I mean, the change in me in the last 2 days is like, I don't know, to change this much, it's a little, I mean, it's unnerving. It's a little unsettling, but...
After living in California for almost 2 years, Sam had come back to New York to try and get a show at a gallery. I was nervous about seeing him at first, but he seemed like he was doing really well. We had had only sporadic contact since the summer of 2000. But while he was back, I was looking forward to capturing his story and recollections of that last summer. First, Sam wanted to go to the cage, but he wanted to go early in the morning and leave before the guys started to arrive for the day, because he couldn't face the people he had had a falling out with. During that day of filming, I hoped that Sam could hold it together. But I was nervous. Part of me was worried that Sam might have another breakdown. But I told myself, It had taken him weeks to ramp up to full-blown mania before, and this time around, Sam would only be in town for a few more days.
It's so nice to be around. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I feel that way now. Like, I feel a great deal more enlightened than everybody I pass by, but I don't feel any better or less, or I just feel closer to God. You know what I mean?
Well, by that statement, because you said that God is the consciousness of 6 billion people, do you feel closer to people then? You feel like...
Absolutely.
Like that's what it sounds like, you know? It sounds like you feel closer to humanity.
Oh, people can feel when I walk by them. If you watch people's body language as I pass them right now, they can feel it. Like when I'm standing and stuff, whatever I'm doing, I'm emanating. Like, you know, women are looking at me all the time right now, and I mean, I try to ignore it because it's not very helpful, but I can feel the energy is just there, you know, but it just is, you know. One of the most unsettling things about this disease, actually, to me, the single most upsetting thing about this disease is that it's always there. Always. It will never go away. Like, I knew that about my father and about the disease. Like, my whole life I grew up being afraid I would get it. So when I got it, it's tough, because my whole entire life I wanted to be a father because I didn't have one. I wanted a family that was a whole loving unit, and I felt like I didn't have that. So I wanted to recreate. You know, we always want to recreate what we didn't have. So that's very strong for me. So when I got this disease, one of my first, like probably I thought it before I even got it, was that now my children are going to get it, so I can't have children. That was devastating. You know, makes me want to, you know, rain tears.
Next, Sam wanted to go to the Museum of Natural History. But being a one-man film crew, I was so focused on actually filming Sam that I got caught up in the moment and didn't understand what I was witnessing.
When you're manic, it's the most wonderful feeling you have in your entire life. Like, I feel better now than I felt then, but it's like a drug. You feel like, I refer to it as ecstasy. It's like that, but better, because it goes on for days or weeks. Sam, we have to go back, 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 we have to go back. Gosh, shut up.
Sam took me into Central Park to reenact his manic episode from the summer of 2000. He had run from his friends who were trying to take him to the hospital. Central Park was a place for him to hide. Then it occurred to me that these were not recreations. This was really happening. I kept filming. After Sam swam in the middle of Central Park, he wanted to share a story with 3 students who had been watching him.
But now the documentary is about me. Like, Ben has surrendered, and it's about me and my healing process. I want to reach people who listen to rap music. I want to think bigger. See what I'm saying?
I do. But I this is just my critique.
Yeah.
If you want to engage people, I think you have to have.
That's his problem. He's the director.
Okay.
This is my life.
Yeah, no, I know. But when you talk to people, maybe you should have, I don't know, a little more
structure,
humor, or not so serious.
Yeah, I'm just gonna talk to her because her energy is real good. She's locked in. I apologize.
So you don't have good energy?
No, I don't mean that. You guys are just. She's very in tune right now. She wants to know.
I'm just curious. I'm trying to figure out.
No, you're
why
curious. I know. You're the bigger questions. She's
the bigger question.
the story is here. My father lost it. He's bipolar, manic depression, diagnosed schizophrenic. My mom really tried, but then I didn't see him for a few years after that. And then I was kind of getting used to the fact that he just wasn't a part of my life, kind of, So I'm 8, going on 9, and it was the middle of the night. And my mother came to wake me up, and she says, "Sam, your father's dead. He committed suicide." Well, I'll tell you how he died. This is very sad for me how he died. He kept stopping taking his medication, stopping taking his medication. He was walking down a freeway in Texas, and he waits on the freeway. He waits for a semi, and he jumps in front of the semi. So we go to the funeral. His father is buried there. They have, they had a little money, and so they have the sites. And everybody comes, my uncles, there's tons of support, and everybody's trying to be strong. But everybody was crying. There was so much pain.
I was shocked to hear about Sam's father's suicide. Letting Sam share these intimate details with total strangers and continuing to film made me feel responsible for what was happening.
I'm supposed to do bigger things, and God has a plan for me, and I'm special, and I need this help.
Sam was walking in his dead father's shoes, and I was leading the way. I decided not to film anymore, though part of me wanted to. I had to focus on trying to calm him down. He now was consumed by religious ideas. He thought he was the Messiah, a second coming. I felt powerless because there was nothing I could do to stop this. In our last days in New York, Sam confessed that he had been weaning himself off of his medication because he wanted to feel like his old self again. He was taking his antipsychotics, but they had no effect. Given Sam's mania, I thought it would be better for him to go back to Oakland, where his family lived, and not to Los Angeles, where he was currently living. But I didn't think he could fly by himself. He was too erratic, he wasn't observing social cues, and in the world right after 9/11, airports and planes weren't places you could talk about your wild religious ideas. So I decided I would take him back.
I feel an undeniable power and strength, and I feel like I can't fight it.
When we tried to board the first flight, Sam got down on his hands and knees to pray. He made the other passengers so uncomfortable that they kicked us off the flight. The airline rebooked us on a flight that now had a stopover in Los Angeles. Sam sang, prayed, cried, yelled, talked incessantly of being a spiritual warrior, and accused other passengers of being armed federal air marshals sent to spy on us. He praised Osama bin Laden. And at 6'7" and 300 pounds, Sam was a menacing sight. As we walked off the jetway, 5 LA police officers waited for us. They ordered Sam to get on the ground so they could cuff him. Sam complied. The officers informed us that Sam was being taken into custody on a 5150, which is an involuntary 72-hour hold of a person because they're deemed a risk to themselves or others. I felt like I had failed Sam and his family, but not getting him home safely. And now, he was locked in a mental health facility in downtown LA.
Nobody asks to have their mind taken away from them. Nobody asks to have their mind inhabited by foreign bodies that are telling you what to do and how to do it. If you're psychotic, if you're hallucinating and delusional, are you seriously responsible for what you do? I mean, as I say, you're responsible for your behavior afterwards. You're responsible for taking medications and treatment and, making amends. But at the time, these are psychotic disorders. It's a pretty wicked world where people can't understand that. Just basic human compassion would argue that you open your heart, but it's very hard to open your heart to something you're frightened of and you don't understand. What my argument would be is to try and increase just human basic understanding of what these illnesses are all about. The poet Robert Lowell once said that depression is an illness for oneself and mania is an illness for one's friends. And I think that there's probably more truth in that than almost anything else. Mania is really a outward-moving engagement with the world, often chaotic, often destructive engagement with the world. And depression is withdrawal.
Ben, what's going on, man? It's Sam. What was it talk if you had a second? Give me a call on my cell. I'm having a little rough time with some decisions here, and I wanted to talk to you. Hello?
Yo.
Hey, dude.
What's going down?
What's up, man?
Chilling. How are you?
I'm at like a really tough point right now. It's really hard for me to accept that I'm going to have to be a person who really has kind of lost that glisten in their eye. I feel like this is the toughest thing I've ever... This is way harder than before. This time it's a lot more serious.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the cycle is. You were up much higher, I think, this time than before. So your crash is going to be a lot lower, It's just like...
I was much higher this time?
Yeah.
I feel guilty that you carry this burden, I think, heavier than any of my closest friends. You matter to me, and Ben, and I've hurt you a lot. Like, I think we have a really great friendship, even though it's based on some really weird shit.
I really wish you some luck and some peace, really, because a lot of this just stems from a lot of turmoil inside, just convolutes it all. So I just wish you some peace right now to ride the storm out.
Well, you've given me some strength. I feel better after talking. Ben, what's up, man? This is Sam. Hey, thanks a lot for today, dude. It meant a lot. It was a good conversation. I appreciate you being there for me, but I gotta stand up and be counted for my own life, But I got nothing but love for you, baby. So be good. Bye-bye.
I miss it. I miss being manic. I prefer manic to this, but what can you do? What can you do? Yeah, I met with that guy, that friend of my parents who I think he's bipolar. He's definitely got a mental illness. And he said, Sam, you have to take your drugs. I'm just like, after the first time, I think I kind of didn't take it as serious as I do now.
And you get more credibility, is that why you listen to it?
Yeah. I think because he had it as well, he'd been where I was, in the denial part. And I think, he saw what it can wreck you. I wish I played ball these days.
Weight, ankle, why don't you?
Mostly because of the weight, and plus the only place you can play ball is the Y, and they go shirts and skins. I don't want to go skin. I'm carrying 70 extra pounds. I weigh 300 right now. Used to be handsome, man. I gotta get back in shape, man. This is ridiculous. It's a joke. It's frustrating. I'm not happy. I'm not getting laid. Therefore, I'm even more unhappy. And in LA, you're sure as hell not gonna get laid when you're walking around with a gut the size of Minnesota. That just doesn't fly in La La Land. Just like every person that goes through a depression in life, you have to take little baby steps that it takes to work out of it. But it just all seems so big and overwhelming all at once, you know. It seems like it's too much for me to deal with, but a lot of people go through dark, you know, not just bipolar people, but people go through depression, and a lot of people have tough times, and you got to work through it, you know. Life's not easy. I feel like the only way I'm going to get out of it is if I kick myself in the butt and jumpstart and get a job and start working out and start, you know, getting myself back in the circle of life. It's hard though. It's hard to explain. It's scary. The world scares me right now. Like, I don't have a very good image of myself. And maybe it's because I'm comparing myself to myself before, and I felt like I had a lot going for me. And now I really feel like I don't have anything going for me. And I feel like people can see that.
So, 3 months from now, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be here with the job.
No doubt?
No doubt. I gotta fucking do it. If I could just get over the fucking hump, like, I had such a good life before.
It's too far away, seems like right now.
Well, it feels like I didn't appreciate it before. Like, you know, you think things are just kind of average. Oh, well, yeah, things are going all right. You know, I've been working, this, that. But now that things are so shitty, I think about, you know, just how nice it was to have just an average life before. I feel like if I could just get over the hump, if I could just get into a little bit better shape, or if I could just get a little bit of a job that I could get rolling.
I think it's harder for him to cope with depression than mania. Mania seems like it takes over and it isn't necessarily his coping with it. I'd like to see him handle it, but I see the bigger challenge as handling depression. And I see signs that he's choosing to handle depression.
What are the signs?
Staying with his medication, because I think it's tempting to go off your medication thinking that maybe you'll go at least halfway up the scale and engage in something that's out of depression. Whatever the price is for that, I think it must be very attractive.
What's your greatest fear for Sam?
My greatest fear is that he'll give up. He'll let something else take over, and he'll go along with whatever the forces are in his brain telling him what to do, and he'll just sort of go with that, and wherever that takes him. And that I don't see that as a good thing. I don't see things as so immediately tragic or so immediately euphoric. And when I was younger, that's how I saw things. I'm a little more accepting of the fact that he might have a really down day and feel like he's not anchored and drifting around and mostly sad. And because I've seen seen this over a period of time now, I accept that, you know, I think he ought to be able to accept it too, and that it's going to change on a daily or hourly basis, and that another mood will come in, and that instead of being severely up and severely down, that there's a natural up and down that he can find tolerable and live with. And I'm more accepting of that than I think I would have been 30 years ago.
I wanted to break Sam out of his cave, get him excited again. So we took a road trip to Joshua Tree National Park to take some photos.
My friends are always trying to drag me out and stuff. Well, before they, you know, they had to try, and it was always kind of a battle. And I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I had a lot to offer. And you know, like, what do you do? I don't know. I'm unemployed. I'm a photographer. You know, I don't want to say I'm a photographer because you're not really working as a photographer. You know, I think in any time a person does some sort of form of art or something, you know, there's always like times of self-doubt and stuff, and especially when you're not, you know, getting paid to do it.
There's a lot of people who live with bipolar and are happy. I think there's hope. I mean, there's times when I feel like I've lost hope. Like a lot of times lately, I feel like I'm in a hole and I can't see any light. But I can't say that there's not hope.
You feel like you're on the way to creating a new life that's viable and acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, I know I feel great right now. But I also know that I've, you know, felt good before, and I've crapped out, you know? So I'm just trying to be moderately excited right now. I'm pretty excited about life.
I really trust you. I feel like I kind of fucked up your documentary. In a sense, I owe you. And so part of that is why I'm cooperative on this. And before I was like, yeah, I really want to do it because I want to like have an example for other people who are bipolar. I've kind of went the other way where it's not so appealing anymore. And I don't necessarily know how much it will help other people.
You want to do this? Sure. I'm just stressed, man. It's like money has been stressing me, so it's kind of a bummer. Like I'm gonna have to like call my friend tomorrow and see if he'll give me a little money or something. Like I just don't want to. Like I could ask my mom, but I don't want to. I promised her I'd get a job by the end of last year, and I really wanted to try to do that, and it didn't really happen. I kind of like half-heartedly went out there and tried to get a job. I kind of just assumed I'd go apply for a couple easy jobs and I'd get one.
Sam, how far do you want me to go?
Yeah, don't go. You can stay there. I figured that would be that. I got a master's, boom, they'll just hire me. It's not the case.
Did you not get hired, or you didn't apply?
I didn't even like.
I didn't even get a call back from any of the places.
Did you follow up with them?
Not really.
Do you see your own role in some of these things, these interactions?
What I've done wrong?
I don't say you did anything wrong, but your own role, like your contribution to the situation.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you know, I just like, you know, you don't just apply and expect to get that. You got to apply, call, follow up, and then even like that, I shouldn't just apply at those places. I just should apply at Home Depot, go physically apply at the other Starbucks, go to this, go to that. Oh, fuck, that reminds me, there was a job fair Thursday. What do you see now?
What?
With me?
I'm baffled by a couple things. I'm baffled by the job thing. You know, the other thing that baffles me is the self-help stuff. You still have a dissonance from knowing the disease better, getting therapy, being more diligent about all of that. It's like, it's not denial. You're doing like the minimum you can to maintain it. You know, the therapy should be a component of...
Yeah, I mean, like, the closest thing to a therapist I've had is you. It's like...
Say that again?
The closest thing I've had to a therapist is you.
I think that suicide is a huge fear for my mom and my sister specifically.
Wow.
Because of my father committing suicide and because it's so common for people with manic depression to commit suicide. I talked with my mom one time and she just kind of broke down and started crying and said, "I can't lose you too." I think about it like what effect it would have on them. I have a feeling about it.
What was your closest point to thinking about suicide?
In the last few years, I actually did something, and I never told them, and you can't tell them this. You can maybe show them later, but maybe a year ago, I was really depressed for a long time, and I had a bunch of vodka here. And so I just started drinking a bunch of vodka, got like really drunk. And then I took like, I don't know, I bought like 5 or 6 boxes of sleeping pills and took like 30, 40 pills of sleeping pills. I think I wrote like a 5-word little thing on a slip of paper for my mom, but
What did it say?
"I'm so sorry" or something like that. I can't remember. I feel really guilty about it because of my mom and my sister and my family. But my mom and my sister most of all.
I wasn't qualified to be Sam's psychologist. After I returned to New York, I got a call that my cousin Joel had died by possibly committing suicide. I headed down to the funeral, and I saw firsthand what the death of a child does to a family. It ravages them. It produces unanswerable questions and unbearable loads of guilt and shame.
I don't think there's any way of saying how devastating suicide is to families and friends, and not just family and friends, but colleagues. I think somebody who commits suicide leaves a huge wake of despair, guilt, anxiety, and particularly in parents and children, that lasts forever. It's a death like no other kind of death that exists, that people don't talk about it in the same way. People aren't as free to talk about it in the same way. Family members feel stigmatized by it. It's bad enough to have this disease. And it's far more painful than anybody who doesn't have this illness can ever begin to appreciate. There's not a series of sentences that could describe the pain and misery of this illness. But if you have love and friends, it helps you with all that. If you don't have those things, and sometimes it's because of the illness you don't have those things, I don't know how people cope. I really don't. I think it's one of those great unfairnesses in life, is that some people seem to be born with a lot of friends or capacity for friends or something, and other people do not. And it's just one of those many inequities. It's not right. I think love is one of those things that you assume until you start thinking about it, and then you begin to realize how extraordinary and how wonderful it is.
After a year, I returned to LA because Sam told me that he felt like he was getting his life back on track. I wanted to see for myself.
So what were you gonna ask me?
I was asking you if you felt like you were near the end of your film. Like that was the impression I was getting from you. Or just maybe from me. That you were towards the end of at least what you would film, and then maybe you would add like little tags or bylines to like my story or whatever. But it felt like that, you know, like all I ever asked from you was to just for a message of hope. I've just been thinking lately that, you know, I don't think people really need to see any more of me, you know, crying or whatever it is. They can just see me ride away in a truck and say, Sam, live happily ever after, and probably not always, but hopefully most of the time. Is that what you feel? Or, I don't know.
That was a question?
Yeah.
Hell of a question.
Yeah. My mother emailed me a job opportunity in Oakland to be a teacher. Last month, I worked really hard in a very short period to prepare for the test. I really want to get into this program because, boom, in the fall, you're immediately in the classroom. And the one thing that I actually had forethought for your film here was I figured it was a little bit dramatic just to see, you know, me check these scores. If I don't receive a passing score, there's 2 test scores I'm about to get back, and I have to pass both of them individually. As far as defining success or failure for me, I think that's already been defined. I'm a success. That's how I feel. It took me a long time to deal with it and go through all my machinations in my head and my heart and my body, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready for the rest of my life. So let's fucking do it. Let's check it out. All right, we're going on the internet to check my CSET scores. Well, here we go. Your CSET single subject unofficial scores. We have 2. Ben, should we look at the top one or the bottom one first? I guess we'll go sequential here. I did not pass by 10 points. The one. Oh my God. Passing score 220. I got 210. Holy shit. I can't believe that's the one that was harder. Tell me Lisa's there. Tell me you're gonna make it all better, Lisa. Come on. I crushed the other one. I have a master's. Fucking Give me 30 seconds more to fucking take that test. Okay. All right. Okay, thanks, Carla.
Sure.
It's just bullshit, man. How stupid is it for a person like me not to be able to? Who could be better at this? My sister and my mom especially have spent a lot of money, time, energy trying to think about ways to facilitate me getting better. But when ultimately it just had to be me. Seeing my life through my eyes and knowing that what I want for my life, not what I want for my mom's life so she won't be worried, not what I want for Ben's life or his film so that it has some sort of nice ending, or so that Ben doesn't feel like, you know, he really tried to help this friend of his and it just got fucked up. What do I want for me? And I mean, that might be a little selfish, but that's really what's been the most helpful for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was
But I appreciate everything that you've done for me, all your phone calls, especially in the beginning. Like, I don't know how to word it better. I was talking to my mom. It blows me away when I stop and think about that you took the time or like thought about it and were like, this person, it's almost not like this person can be saved, but this person, I don't know, you felt I was worth the time and the energy, and that in itself meant something to me. That therapist in Oakland said, you know, this film might have helped you, just your friend and talking to him and feeling like, you know, it's a work that, you know, you want to have some hope. I don't know. This is a way that I defined accepting my bipolar, that my bipolar and I are in the same room. And neither one of us is ever going to be able to leave this room. And I have to accept that this thing is never going to leave this room. I want it to leave this room so bad, and, you know, I would be willing to do this or that to make it go away, make it leave this room, but it's not going to go. But I'm not going to go either. And if I do all these bad things, like if I drink and smoke and don't take care of my body and don't get a job and be broke for the rest of my life, that bipolar is just going to infect and spread and take over that entire room. And my portion of that room is just going to become smaller and smaller and smaller until I'm just a little depressed person sitting on that bed in there sleeping, you know, 18 hours a day. But if I take my drugs, if I exercise, and if I manage my bipolar, and if I look at it in the eye and I say, look, fucker, I know where you are. I'm not letting you sneak behind me. I see you coming, and this is my fucking room. Then we can be in this room, and I can be happy, and it can be in that room, and it can still affect my life a little bit, but it's in that little corner of the room, and the rest of the room is mine now. And it's still a pretty big room, and there's lots in that room for me to do.
After spending these days with Sam and seeing how disappointed he was in failing the test, I hoped he'd find something to hold on to, something to be optimistic for.
This is Sam Murchison. You might have heard of me.
A week later, the Oakland Teaching Fellowship called Sam back and gave him a chance to take the CSET test again. If he passed, he could become a teaching fellow in the fall.
Up in California, so get some of that.
The test was in 4 weeks, which was much more time to study than he had had last time. We were both thinking, is this it? Will we finally be done? Can we stop filming? So I asked Sam to film himself preparing for the CSET test.
All right, tried to study tonight. Didn't work at all. Went to the Buddhist temple to relax, spoke to the monk. He gave me some relaxation techniques. Hopefully that's gonna help me just keep my head from being so busy so I can study.
Not gonna fail this CSET, bro.
Still haven't studied. Good. That wasn't too weird.
This feels like a Sam method of procrastination. The old act like you can't find a place to study move.
What's up, Ben? We haven't been filming like you wanted for the test, but I don't give a shit because I gotta pass this thing, and this thing's just bugging me and distracting me and all that. So let's see. But last night I did study a little bit, and I'm excited about that because test is Saturday. It's test day. I just got a message from you, Ben. Thanks. I don't know if it'll help, but hey, post, repost. Post, repost, don't settle for the jump shot. I don't know, man, I didn't study very well this week. This is on me. I put the last one on them for not having enough time, but it seems like this one might be on me. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be close, I'll tell you that.
Sam passed the test and began teaching at Oakland High School in September 2005. But he resigned after the first day because he knew the stress was going to be too much for him. After Sam quit his teaching job, he slipped back into another depression. He would withdraw, not answer emails, not answer phone calls. I always half expected to hear the worst when a phone call would come from him or his mom. But this time he said he was coming back to New York for a friend's wedding. Sam's family was really nervous about him coming back. I was too. Sam was due to arrive 4 years to the day of his last visit to New York. The last time he had a manic episode.
I was pretty anxious about going to the city and stuff. Actually anxious about you filming me and stuff, but then you waited until the last second to tell me you were only gonna film me on the way in, and that kind of helped relieve some stress. But here I am, middle of the night, packing as per usual.
I don't know, I mean, it could be inspiring to actually take some pictures again.
When you were in New York the first time, the longer you were there, the more you were indulging an arrogant side of yourself about being so smart and good-looking and athletic. And now you're kind of more dealing with who you are now. You're still smart, you're still good-looking, and I guess athleticism is a fleeting thing for anybody, but you're older and wiser.
Hopefully.
I was uneasy to see Sam for the first time in a year. But I was determined to get the Hollywood ending we both wanted for the film. At the same time, I tried to get a bead on Sam's mood. What were his eyes saying? And I knew he could sense my distance.
Man, you know what's funny is I was like anxious for, I don't know, I was kind of anxious about, I was really excited about this trip, but I was also kind of anxious. But then, but I was also kind of really anxious about, subconsciously, about you filming me or whatever, or what was going to go on, or, you know, like, anyway, what that was going to entail. And then you told me like the day before yesterday, you're like, yeah, I'm just going to film you on the way in, and then that'll be that. And I'm like, dickhead, why didn't you tell me this like a month ago? And then I would know, then I'd be like, I wouldn't stress out about it.
This ride had to be it. the last shot. But before I dropped Sam off, he handed me the videotapes I had asked him to record from the past summer to now. He was anxious for me to look at them. He thought they might be useful to end the film.
Am I out of picture? Or I don't give a shit.
Ben Selko. This fucker's been interrupting my life for going on 6 years.
God, I guess I'll turn this music off because you're such a prick when it comes to music.
This is all for you, Mr. Selko. If I get into an accident, we know who's getting sued.
It's Ben Selko's fault.
I started seeing what was raging inside Sam.
Way to go, Ben. Got some signage, bro. Hey, Ernie, we got some signage for Ben. Fuck that guy. He's been ruining our life for years. No way, man. We love Ben. Come on, man. That guy's been making you turn your music off. Where's the music, motherfucker? Put the music on. Yeah, I hear you on that one, Ernie.
That's all I got, man.
That's all I got, you fucking son of a bitch bastard. Look here, you fucking son of a bitch. If you think you're just gonna control my life through this little fucking camera, well, you got another thing coming. That's all I gotta say. Well, I got a lot more to say, but that's all I gotta say. Well, as a matter of fact, I got more to say, but that's mostly what I got to say, mostly.
Sam's rants to the camera terrified me. Was I causing all this? Why hadn't he told me this was how he was feeling all along? Or had he? After years of documenting Sam, how could I have missed all of this? And now, just a few days after I had picked Sam up at the airport, he was calling me all the time.
Sam, dude, call me. It's an emergency. I need to talk to you immediately. Call me as soon as you get this. If you don't call me, I'm going to come to your house. I have to speak to you for 5 minutes, face to face. In 6 years, I've not asked you to do this. This is the last day I fucking film this stupid ass, friggin' bullshit ass film here. I think you fucking owe me 5 minutes of fucking face to face time. And you better fucking give it to me. Alright? I'm not gonna yell at you if you just, exceed a fucking simple request. But just give me 5 minutes of fucking time, or else I'm gonna, make you cry. I'm not gonna do anything to you. I'm gonna explain shit how it really is, not how you fucking think it is. You're not a fucking director. You're not a fucking writer. You're not a fucking actor. You know what you are? You're a fucking editor and a cameraman. You didn't fucking write the story. You didn't even think the story. You know what you did? You're some little motherfucker who went down to West 4th Street, tried to get some shine off some court you never even fucking heard.
Hello? Sam.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Did you get my message?
I did.
I'm not mad at you. I want you to know that right off the bat.
What's that? No, what did you say?
I said, you can feel that.
Feel what?
That I'm not mad at you.
No, what I heard was a threat.
No, that's not what you heard.
What did I hear?
What you heard was a frustrated human being who feels like for 6 years people have been hearing him, but not hearing him, viewing him, observing him, worrying about him, putting him under a microscope, but nobody is listening to what he has to say.
Right.
That's what you heard.
Yeah. I think there's some truth to that.
It's for us to meet down at ground zero at 7:30 tomorrow morning. And for you to think about tonight exactly how you would like this to go, and for me to tell you what my goal is, and for you to interpret my goal however you see fit.
Sam, we're done on this trip, Sam. I'm feeling terrible right now. I feel terrible for you. We're done on this trip. We can get up. If I come to California or whatever, but I need to preserve myself and.
Can I tell you something, man?
Yeah.
I need some money. Straight up, I have the film with me, I'm dead broke.
I know, dude. I can't help you.
You can't help me?
No.
I can't tell you how upset I like.
I know. I understand. It makes you upset. I know that I'm bringing it on myself.
Ben, listen. Hear me. Ben.
Yeah.
Hear me.
I'm listening.
Listen to me. I'm not trying to threaten you. I'm not trying to do anything. You have basically ruined my life for 6 years. For a few months, it was all shits and giggles, all right? And I didn't even understand that until fucking 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I understood this shit was under pressure. You know what I've been doing this entire fucking time, man? I've been fucking mulling on the state of the world trying to figure out how Sam can fucking fix it. I've been fucking putting the state of the fucking world on my shoulders. That's why I want to go down zero. That's why I want to start doing the fucking challenge out here. That's why it's what it's on. It's not about me. It's not about manic depression. It's not about fucking the world. It's people treating one another with humanity and respect. That's what it's about. Alright?
Yeah.
And what I need from fucking you is $500 fucking dollars. Not because I want $500 fucking dollars, but because I need it for I can stay at a hotel, so I can get fucking a CD, so I can listen to Destiny, so I don't lose my fucking mind and go crazy, so I can buy lunch tomorrow. That's what I need from fucking you. I don't need it because I need it. I need it because I have to have it. You feel that?
I do, yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying.
Why can't you make that happen?
Because I.
Why can't you make that happen? Explain it to me.
I'm trying.
Explain it to me.
I can't deal with the aggression, man. I feel.
It's not about me. It's not about you. It's one more fucking day.
Right.
Right? We're there. We're done.
No, we're not done. I think.
Fucking years. Yes, we are. You are. I am done. You gotta edit and do all that other fucking shit. I'm fucking done.
No, I agree with that.
Right? So help me fucking out. Let me celebrate. Live it up. John, let it out, motherfucker. You can't help me out.
No.
I'm gonna spend hundreds of fucking $1,000 on this shit. I almost killed myself. I fucking put my shit out. You're gonna act like this? You can't fucking help me out?
Not this.
You're looking for it up. You're like, I'm your friend.
Not this way.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Not this way.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Ben? Think about this and call me in an hour.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi, Ben.
Well, we've got a real problem. He's completely psychotic now.
What happened?
He's leaving me threatening messages. He wants more money from me, and he's in a rage. And he's starting to come to my house. He's threatening to hurt me. He's, this is,
What?
Yeah, it's.
You're kidding. Oh
no,
my God.
I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious.
I believe you.
And the resolution, he's gonna get arrested. Is the resolution of this is right now. It's about the best. Unless he can check himself into a hospital, he's gonna end up getting arrested.
Well, I don't know if he's gonna, if I can call him, but was he calling you on his cell phone?
Yeah, he just called me back on his. Now he's calling me again. Hello. Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
How am I doing?
I know you're fucked up right now, but I don't want to yell at you. But I have to go meet Stephanie. I don't want the conversation to go on forever. I'm sick of talking to your machine. You need to just listen, get on board. For one day, let me get the fuck out of town. We can not see each other for like 2 years, decompress, and we can be friends again.
Okay, but you.
Huh?
Yeah, but Sam, you need to go to the hospital. Is what I'd ask you to do to see if.
You can suck my dick, bitch.
Okay.
Given Sam's deteriorating condition, Sharon decided to fly out to New York to help Sam get back safely to California. Before she arrived, Sam checked himself into an emergency room to get treated for dehydration and exhaustion. He didn't want to stay, but they kept him anyway and transferred him to a psych ward downtown. I went with Sharon to visit him in the hospital.
From the first time that Sam had his manic episode in 2000, I told him personally that I just would not let him go through this alone, and that I hadn't understood what his dad was going through. Now, in retrospect, I understood it a little bit. I felt even more sorry and sad for what had happened to him, but that I understood it a lot better.
Do you blame me?
Blame you?
Yeah.
No. I'm not a blaming kind of person.
Guess I got off easy with you then.
I don't think anybody does. But he embraced this. I actually asked him something about today. I said, it doesn't matter what happens to the film because you're done with it, right? He said, that's right.
He does seem like he's capable of managing himself. There's something more in his consciousness that needs to be developed or pierced or challenged so that he does rise to the occasion. I'm banking on that he's brave and courageous to live with this disease. I don't think it would be brave or courageous to commit suicide. I think it'd be far braver and more courageous to learn to live with this disease. Because he does have a lot to contribute. He can be a really great person. So I'm banking on that side of things. But I tie that with being brave and courageous. It's an ongoing saga, and you're going to have to cut it loose, Bruce, wherever you can.
Sam always said he hoped that this film could be a beacon of hope for others. I hope this film can help Sam. But I worry about what he'll think if and when he does see it, and what effect it will have on him. I hope he sees his own strength in the film. But in thinking about what's going to happen to Sam, I remember a road trip we took several years back. Along the way, we got to talking about the future.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And that seems like that's the story for the rest of your life. You can't be too upbeat, because then your life is going to fall apart, because you're going to lose touch with reality, and you don't want to be too cautious, because then you might get depressed and be in a funk. For a long time, I felt like, yeah, fuck, I'm just never going to be happy. People would much rather see me depressed and safe than happy and have some risk involved. And my mom tries to be protective, but then again, I really feel like my mom sees me as a really special person. She's not willing to just say, okay, Sam, you just need to leave a safe, mediocre life. Like, you need to try to strive for that outstanding life that you really, really want, but you have to be careful about it. And I mean, I think that's what I want to do. It's a little windy. I kick a few balls. Auto, Meto. That's actually a sweet shot. Into the depths.
Where can you take me?
Just can't take it.
Who's better looking, you or me?
Huh?
Who's better looking, you or me?
It's a tie.
All right, I'll take that. It was like...
I know that I can fly.
Get the old full-size rental that nobody
I
fits in.
remember my
Didn't we get some butter shots of the last rental?
world in the air.
Last one was even full size.
By my side.
Little silver boat.
Stress stripping off my toes back to the lands of formality. I
Dude, you
know
don't
I
even
can
need to
fly. I know I can fly.
Why, are you ready to finish? Is this it? That's all you got? That's all she wrote?
Nah.
You don't know?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's life, dude. Life is in flux.
I know I can fly. I remember my dreams. I pushed off a cliff with an eagle. Got lost in the clouds of tunnels. The islands of tranquility. Do you wanna come too? We could journey to the land of the Sioux. Dreamers, do what you do. Let's help them all break through. I know I can fly. I know I can fly. I know I will rise. We will rise. We will rise. I know open up your mind in these hard times.